gorgeous, like so red, and the inside is red. I could wax lyrical about a good tomato for an uncomfortable amount of time. Hi there friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Tasia and I am going to be cooking dinner. Tonight I'm just making something really nice and simple because I'm just cooking for myself, and so I feel like something nostalgic. And for me, I have a really special place in my heart for cherry tomatoes and tomatoes in general. When I was a kid, my mum had a really beautiful garden, and one of my earliest food memories is like plucking tomatoes out of the garden and wrapping them in a basil leaf and just eating them whole. Bam. Maybe I should have known then that I was going to be a chef, but I was just a kid in the garden. I also ate snails and dirt, so here we are. Alright, so I'm going to make bruschetta tonight. Not the most traditional bruschetta, but something very delicious. And bruschetta is often served as a breakfast or brunch thing, but I've decided to make it for dinner because I had a late lunch and I just want something nice and simple. You can make this whatever time of the day you want because it's your life, and food really, eat it whenever you want, you know, just get amongst it. Alright, so let me run you through what I'm going to make. I'm going to make beautiful toasted sourdough. I'm going to pan fry some gorgeous cherry tomatoes, big juicy ones, with a little bit of rosemary, chili and garlic. I'm going to smash those on top of my toasted bread, and then I'm going to crumble on some beautiful goat's cheese, and then I'm just going to smush it in my face, and it's so good. If you want to make like a little bit more of a meal of it, you can definitely like get a salad happening with that. You can get some prosciutto on the top of it. You can swap the goat's cheese out for mozzarella, but I'm going to be making this tonight, so come hang out with me while I do. You, of course, can hang out with me and just make your own dinner. You don't have to make what I'm making, but I'll run you through what I'm doing. We are going to want this quite hot. Now I have to give you a caveat. I have a very obnoxious intolerance, which means I can't eat onion and garlic. However, I can eat garlic infused olive oil, which means that I have some that I've already made because I like to just have it on hand. But if you don't have garlic infused olive oil, now would be the time to slice up a clove or two of garlic. Nice and fine, or you can do the thing where you smash it with the flat of your blade and give it a rough chop. And then at the point when I am going to be putting my oil in, you just add your garlic in there and let it sizzle away a little bit before we add the other stuff. I am going to finely cut some chili. You can of course omit the chili if you don't like spice. It's still going to be so fragrant and so flavorful from the garlic and the rosemary, but I love a bit of chili. Probably just going to go about 1/4 of a long red chili, and I'm going to leave a few seeds in, but the seeds are the hot part. So if you don't like much heat at all, you can take all the seeds out. If you like it real spicy, you can leave all the seeds in, or even go a bird's eye. That'll like really punch you in the face with the spice. Chili is a personal preference, I tell you, so yeah, here we go. Just started getting cold. So it's a perfect opportunity for me to bust out this delicious snuggle suit. It is fleece lined and delightful, and if you don't have some sort of fleece lined thing to swan about your house, I recommend you get one. Or put on a dressing gown. Also, if you're somewhere that is hot right now when you're watching this, maybe don't do that. Find a clothes that makes you happy and put them on while you make dinner. Be that sweatpants or a ball gown. This pan is starting to get hot, so I'm just going to drizzle in a little bit of olive oil. And I'm also going to drizzle a little bit of my garlic infused oil. As mentioned, this will be the time, if you are putting garlic in yours, to put it in. Bam. Gonna try and put one piece of chili in and see if it sizzles. It's not quite sizzling yet. So once that starts to get those like little bubbles around it, I'm gonna pop the rest of the chili in there. Meanwhile, we're just gonna give this rosemary a rough chop. All right. I've got a big sandwich press heating to toast my sourdough, but really you can toast it in whatever you like. And if you're not a fan of sourdough, I'd recommend like a Turkish bread or something else that's going to get a nice crispy edge while still having a bit of a soft or chewy middle. You can make bruschetta on just like a classic sliced, like white or multigrain, but it's not going to have quite the same effect. You really want to be showcasing a beautiful bread for this situation. You can, of course, get real fancy and pan fry your bread, which is going to be delightful. I'll leave it up to you. Oh, can you see those little bubbles? So there's like little bubbles happening on here. We're going to get the rest of that chili and rosemary. Bang it in there. I wish you could smell what I can smell right now. Hopefully, if you're cooking along with me, you totally can. It smells like charring capsicum. It smells like that slightly warm olive oil scent, and the rosemary is just permeating my whole kitchen. I would like to bathe in it. BRB, bathing in rosemary. All right. We only need to give that a couple of seconds to start. You don't want it to burn, you just want it to start sizzling. And we're gonna cut up these cherry tomatoes into quarters. These ones are quite massive, so you have more like regular sized cherry tomatoes, just halves. Or honestly, even just bung in whole cherry tomatoes if they're little ones. You see that? Whoa! Sizzletown! I found these cherry tomatoes at my local fresh food market, and they are gorgeous. Like so red, and the inside is red. I could wax lyrical about a good tomato for an uncomfortable amount of time. I have done that before. Don't even get me started on like bad tomatoes. You know, a tomato that's like so white inside that it feels like someone has like sucked the color of the tomato out with a syringe. Who does that? Why is that? I know why that is. It's because the tomato's been picked green and ripened off the vine. Oh, getting smoky. Pop that aside. Oh yeah. A little bit of chili just went up my nose. Whew. I may set off the smoke alarm. That's just how I roll. All right, we're gonna crack a little bit of pepper in here. That pepper grinder has decided to betray me, so I'm going in with my second pepper grinder. Going in with a little bit of salt. I wouldn't put as much salt as normal because the goat's cheese got that saltiness of its own. It was gonna like under salt by a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but the tomatoes are starting to caramelize. They're coating in that chili and rosemary and garlic infused olive oil, and the smells just keep getting more insane. So next up, I'm just gonna grab a like nice balsamic reduction, but if you just got regular balsamic, a little splash of that. All right, just giving that another 10 seconds to sticky coat your tomatoes, and then that can go off to the side. All of those juices are gonna like get down into your toast, and it is gonna be so beautiful. My toast is still toasting, so I've poured myself a glass of whiskey, and I'm just gonna sip it and tell you about it. Oh yeah, it's good. Just put a single ice cube in there. A really cool thing about whiskey that you may or may not know is that you can drink it without ice, obviously, and it has a whole flavor profile, and then if you add some ice, it actually changes the flavor profile. If you put too much, you take away the flavor of good whiskey. But if you bung in just like one, I actually often like to have like some of my whiskey without ice and then add an ice and then see how the flavors change. A bit wanky? Maybe, but my taste buds appreciate it. So this one's a little sweet, a little smoky. Not really any peat going on in there. Good though. Probably, really, with this bruschetta, should be having a glass of red wine. But I felt like whiskey, so here we are, checking my toast again. In an exciting turn of events, my sandwich press has decided not to heat, which it's never done before. So I am going to do what I mentioned before and pan fry my bread. I've got the pan heating and I have this goat's cheese that is in beautiful marinated in oil. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that flavored goat's cheese oil in the pan. You could also butter your bread and grill it, like pan fry it, which is pretty incredible. But however you get your bread toasty, I'll leave that up to you. Fun fact about Italy and olive oil is that Italy consumes more olive oil than it produces. They actually eat so much olive oil and they still export a lot of what they produce that they import heaps of it, I believe mostly from Greece, to consume themselves, which is incredible. I love olive oil. The Mediterranean knows what's up. I have chosen some rye sourdough. It's going in the pan. What has been up with you? I would love to know. You should totally let us know in the comments what's been happening around your parts. What is the last meal that you cooked or ate that brought you joy? Have you been playing games online? Because I haven't done that yet and I have been craving a board game, and I really want to check out some of those platforms that allow you to play games with your friends online. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of research, but if you have any ideas, totally let me know, let us know. We would love to hear. And I really can't wait till I can get back and play games with my friends in the flesh. But until then, let us check our toasting bread. I also found some capers. Bam! Have you ever had capers before? They are so tasty. It's really hard to explain. These are like fancy little guys on their stems. I don't know if you can see that. But capers are like salty and almost a little briny, but kind of a bit acidic as well. And it's just like this explosion of almost pickled flavor, salty goodness. So good, delightful. If you've had tartare sauce, it often has some capers in it. So you may have sneaky had them. You may love them. So good. If you've got some capers lying around, definitely put them on your bruschetta. I probably wouldn't buy them specifically for it, unless you're really in the mood for capers. I just love them as a snack, honestly. A little bit about me, just in case you're like, let's get to know each other, Tasia, random lady on the internet. Maybe I'm not random. Maybe you've been hanging around these parts for a little while. Maybe you know me in real life. But I'm a chef, as previously mentioned. I've been cooking for about 17 years. I was one of those incredibly lucky people who knew from a young age what I wanted to do. Well, I have a couple of passions. My two biggest passions were writing and cooking. And I decided to go into cooking because it allows me job opportunities. And then that allowed me more opportunities to write. So that was the path that I chose, and it has been a tumultuous path, but a really satisfying one. And it has given me a lot of skills, and I still love cooking. It's like in my soul, in my D&D, my DNA. Oh, yes. All right. You see that? Nice little bit of toastiness. Let's turn that off. We're gonna get a nice plate. You don't just have to use nice plates when you're bringing them out for other people. Sometimes it's nice to pick your favorite plate and make yourself a meal, treat yourself to a glass of whiskey. I love this plate. It's homemade and it has mushrooms on it. Just beautiful. Really, I feel like I should be serving a mushroom dish on this, but all food can go on a mushroom plate. Got your beautiful toasted bread. We're gonna pile these tomatoes up on our bruschetta. Just gonna try the seasoning. Oh my God, that charred flavor from the hot pan. Oh, and then the chili's coming in. Yes. Needs a tiny bit more salt. We've got our goat's cheese. We're gonna crumble that all up on it. Now I have a confession to make. I did just use my fingers to crumble the goat's cheese on. And if I was preparing it for someone else in this time of COVID, I would not do that. You can use a fork and a knife or a spoon. But seeing as this is for me, I'm just gonna go lick my goat's cheesy fingers. And last, but definitely not least, caper garnish. Oh damn, friends. Now this is just perfect comfort dinner. Amazing. Just going to drizzle that with a little bit more of my balsamic glaze. I'm going to go get comfy on the couch and I can't wait to see you guys next time, and I'll catch you at the table.